Okay, lesson 19. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. This was a very stimulating lesson for me. So from the reading, I felt like, again, in the very beginning, as it says, the idea for today is obviously the reason why your seeing does not affect you alone. You will notice that at times the ideas related to thinking in the workbook precede those related to perceiving, while at other times the order is reversed. The reason is that the order doesn't matter. Thinking and its results are really simultaneous, for cause and effect are never separate. Today we are again emphasizing the fact that minds are joined. Okay. This was another lesson where I noticed there was some confusion as I read it, so I just relaxed, and I feel like the most important line that I've read was that thinking and its results are really simultaneous, for cause and effect are never separate. So for me, it's not about understanding what comes first, perception, or thinking first, then seeing, and seeing what is it saying? To me, it's just saying your thoughts are powerful, your thoughts are creating. As the previous lesson said, it's either, again, extending truth or extending false beliefs, false thoughts, falsities. So to me, that's the most important thing, is to realize my thinking is extremely powerful. And the practice period was to close our eyes. And I actually realized I enjoy the closed eyes practices because it brings me inside to the internal world of my mind. So you repeat the lesson, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. And then you watch your mind and what thoughts are arising. And then plug them into the sentence, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of this thought about blank. And I just love watching my thoughts. And it says later that the requirement is to use indiscriminateness, like not to discriminate, not to give weight or more meaning or more importance to a certain thought than others. And it says that that's very important concept in the Course in Miracles, is that we wouldn't decide, oh, this is a bigger miracle than this miracle. And I think in general, it's just to say, remove your entire system of hierarchy and importance. And so that, again, I feel like so that we can just be very present and to receive all miracles as the same, to accept all people as the same, to accept all thoughts as equal, to accept all appearances as equal, and just clear the entire system of the mind that's constantly sorting, comparing, organizing, judging. That's what we were designed to do. So I found it very fascinating. I also noticed that in the last day or two, this concept of like, I'm not alone in experiencing my thoughts, it says in the lesson, like, this can alarm you because you feel responsible. Like, it can be very overwhelming that there are no private thoughts. And that's part of the teaching of A Course in Miracles. There are no private thoughts. So I've heard people say, like, well, I didn't say anything, in a situation where they felt someone was doing something they shouldn't or had an opinion. And they said, well, I didn't say anything, which is a step. However, to recognize if you're thinking something, it is contributing. So I noticed that, again, and I think it's kind of interesting because I would be thinking something and just kind of wait and see if it happened. And so often things were happening. So like Justine, if she wants me to pick her up, sometimes she bites my leg. And sometimes it's a little nibble and sometimes it's a chomp. And I can't, so I find myself anticipating she's going to bite me. And then, so that's just one example. Like I'll find myself anticipating something and then noticing I'm thinking that and noticing it's often happening. So it's not to get all freaked out. It's just, I think this is a whole practice in becoming aware, just becoming aware. And I'm really enjoying the awareness level. And the fact that I'm not freaked out, it's just like, oh, that's interesting. I thought it happened. Okay. And last night, it was actually early in the morning, a very strange, interesting thing happened. One of our smoke alarms went off. And so it's the kind of thing where you're in mid-sleep and you start hearing the beep. And then my husband's got up and he was trying to figure out which one it was. And he determined it was the carbon monoxide one. So then he takes off, the battery cover and he looks at the back and it says like step 1. Like it was just like all about emergency steps of what to do when that alarm is going off. And yet it was like, so he's opening the doors and the windows and it's, cool. And he's like, I'm going to sleep downstairs. I have to keep the door open, and I'm like, whoa. And then and then I start reading on the phone, like, oh, what do we do? And it says, if you're experiencing a headache, which I kind of had one. And then it said, if you're experiencing confusion, and I'm like, this whole thing is confusing. And it's like, if you're experiencing dizziness, and I was like, so it's so interesting that it was like planting thoughts in my mind of like, wait, what's happening? Is this bad? Are we gonna have to go outside? Do we have to call the police, fire department? What do we do? So I just was like aware that I started thinking and I was like, ooh, this is so cool. Because I have choice of what I want to think. Thoughts are coming in and people are yelling outside. I don't know if you can hear it. This is what I noticed myself realizing today is that, okay, so the carbon monoxide thing, like ultimately it was the battery was dead and the beeps it tells you the beeps. 1 beep a minute, the battery is dead, 4 beeps in a row, emergency. So we had the 1 beep a minute, so we were cool. We were like replacing the batteries, closing the doors and windows, and going back to sleep. And what I became aware of today is like, okay, this course is helping us notice how our mind has been programmed. And I noticed myself getting so excited about, wait, if this isn't the way if this isn't the, how can I say it? If this isn't the way to think that brings about peace, what is? Like I'm starting to get excited for the lessons that are going to tell us how to think. Because right now it's saying, I think it's just like laying the foundation. It's bringing us to more awareness. And so I'm really excited about, because I'm aware of certain lessons, because I'm in a community and we study the principles. We don't necessarily go through the workbook like we're doing, but I know the one phrase, like, I think only the thoughts I think with God. And so we're going in a very exciting direction. If you haven't felt it, I started feeling it. So yeah, just have awareness of, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. See what happens for you. Share if you'd like to. And we're rocking it almost to lesson 20. Take care.